Wednesday, November 28th. I'm Scott.
I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Fullmetal Alchemist, which I hope we didn't do a show on before. Let's do this.
You know, for as much as I like anime, it's kind of sad that I really haven't had the time to watch any in, like, the last 2 weeks.
Well, look at me. I got 4 unbeaten Wii games sitting on the Wii. I just got a DS game.
I stopped playing Worms just long enough to do the show.
Yeah, the pile of comics that I got early in the month has, I've been eating away at it, but it's actually grown some because I traded comics with some people. I got rid of stuff that I'm never going to read again, and they sent me stuff that was actually really good, so...
And I thought I was done. I thought I was going to start catching up, and then, a friend of mine lent me some Chiyo Saito manga that I'll talk about once I read the rest of it, which is going to take a while, because there's a lot of it.
Yeah, but it's like, I got these anime I want to watch. I've downloaded the fan subs, or I'm waiting for them on Netflix, or who knows, and... It's just not gonna... next year, I think, when the new year rolls around, there will be a resurgence of anime watching.
Yeah, I mean, weren't we watching Gundam 00 and Bakano and...
Yep, all those things. By the time we get around to watching them, they'll be on Netflix, then we'll delete all the fan subs.
Great. We never even finished Nana. We got right up to her Omens.
Is that gonna be on DVD or what?
I assume so.
It must be, right?
I haven't been paying attention, to be honest.
Me either.
Right, so what do you got for me?
All right, there's no anime news, and I'm not...
No anime news? What about Odex?
Whatever. I'm tired of just doing news from Anime News Network, so...
Oh, great. So you're never going to talk about anime news again.
Pretty much. So I'm going to do a geek bite on this manga that I read in that giant pile of comics I was talking about. Now, this manga is called Once Upon a Glashma, Glashma. And if you read in the back of the book, where sort of like, the funny extra section is, they sort of talk about where the title came from, and it's like one of the editors, I think, it says here, glass, shoes, and magic is Glashma. Yeah. And it's Once Upon a Glashma, so it's sort of like this fairy tale title.
Once Upon a Magic Glass Shoe.
Right, so I bought this manga. It's a 1-volume manga from ADV Manga. It's the whole thing, as far as I can tell. It's not volume 1, it's the whole thing. For 2 reasons. Number 1, it was originally published in New Type, and then I think also New Type USA. And, those manga that are published in New Type are usually, not bad. And the person who did the manga is Kumiko Suekane, which is the person who did the Phoenix Wright character designs, if I am correct. So I said, well, I like them Phoenix Wright character designs. I'll buy it. It's only 1 volume.
Now,
and it was good enough to be a New Type.
That is a dangerous preposition, because we all know that liking character designs does not follow for liking a show in many cases.
No, but, this thing, the cover price is $10.95. I paid like $7 or $8. Not a bad deal, all in all. So, this manga.
Not good?
It's not bad. It's not like, oh, this is painful. Oh, this is terrible. I don't want to read this,
It's no what I'm going to talk about.
No. Basically, what this is about is there's a world, and for some reason, there's no more women in the world. There's only guys, right? And because, for some reason, no one knows, guys are just getting magic powers, sort of randomly.
But how do they know that girls aren't also getting magic powers?
There are no girls.
There just aren't any girls left. You can't say that, well, guys only are getting magic powers.
The magic power, the increase of the number of male wizards coincided with the complete disappearance of all females. Right. So you have these characters who work for sort of like the government bureaucratic agency that sort of, keeps track of, who has magic powers and what magic powers they have and how dangerous they are. And of course, they end up having to deal with like people turning into dragons or, people turning other people into women.
But I thought there were no women. So what if I turn someone else into a woman? Do they immediately become a man? What?
No, it's not like there's some magic force keeping women away. It's just all the women disappeared suddenly.
So just make a bunch more women and we're good to go.
Well, they got to make women without women. Not easy.
we have at least one friend in our lives who got a sex change. I imagine there are enough people in this world who want to become women that the magic will allow it to happen.
A sex change doesn't make you reproductive.
But it's magic.
The magic in this book, there isn't a whole lot of controllable magic. Like, there's actually one really cool character who's, like, he's a big, tough dude, but he's afraid of his boss, who isn't big, his boss is not big and scary, but, like, his power is turning invisible, but he doesn't, like, control it. Well, he does sometimes, but not really. Mostly he turns invisible when he's afraid, like, sort of uncontrollably. It's magic sort of like that. Not like we're all Merlin the Great here, you know? It's like everyone has a specific power, and some people don't have a power, like the main character, right? And there's a few chapters, and then in the course of this entire one volume, you know, they reveal all sorts of stuff, and then they solve the problem of where all the women went. Oh, spoiler, whatever. And it's just sort of shallow and silly, and it's got a lot of parts that are fan servicey and painful and anime cliche of every kind you can imagine. And
all right, Scott.
Yeah.
Then, in the spirit of what Zero Punctuation did today, who would like this? Who would this be recommended to improperly form a sentence?
Who would like this? I think it definitely would.
Are you going to take the roundabout way of defining an audience such that you have both insulted the audience and the work simultaneously?
I don't know, because I actually think that, you know, the cliche, stereotypical American fangirl would like this, and they would think it was kind of cool. It wouldn't be like their favorite thing ever. I guess it's someone's favorite thing ever, but I think the typical, stereotypical fangirl in the U.S. would enjoy this.
So it's not cute, funny, stereotypical, shallow, like, say, Dragon Half, which is one of my favorite shows ever.
No, Dragon Half is enjoyed by the typical fanboy.
I just remember being so embarrassed when I had to convince my mom to go to the store and buy Dragon Half for me because it said, you've got to be 17 to watch this, and I wasn't really sure why. And then I found out why.
Yeah, someone who, like, enjoys, you know, like, the cliches of anime, you know? Like, if you like a Love Hina, even though this is not a harem thing in any way, but it, you know, has a lot of those same stereotypes that all those sort of, you know, anime have.
Oh my god, he looked at me, punch in the face, nosebleed, sweat drop.
Like, if you like the Auron, this probably...
Hey, Auron's awesome.
Yeah, this isn't as good as the Auron, but, you know, it's the same. If you like it, you'll probably like this for similar reasons, I guess.
How much of Auron have you seen?
I don't know, for two episodes, 3? I don't know.
We'll have to talk about that show.
It's the only thing I know that feels similar to this at all. If anyone wants my copy... I'll be glad to trade you or sell it to you or something, because I don't need it anymore. It's in my get rid of file. So, yeah.
Right. So, what's the name of it again? Since someone pointed out that whenever we geek bite, we should probably...
Once Upon a Glashmas. Glashma by Kumiko Suekane from ADV Manga. And I think if you get New Type USA, you must have read it already, right? If you're, I don't know.
Right. So... I'm going to tell you a tale of woe. You see, back when Scott and myself and the rest of the Front Row crew were still in college, living at RIT, in the middle of the wilderness, surrounded by snow and ice, locked into our little set of buildings connected by tunnels, trying desperately to avoid ever having to go to class or go outside, we would often sit around the computer looking for cool things. And one day, we found this teaser. It wasn't even a trailer. It was a teaser for some Japanese movie.
And we were into the foreign movies.
We've been going to the Video Barn, which had... The Video Barn was probably the best video rental place ever, at least in Rochester. You'd go there.
You could go there.
Like, you'd see a title, and you pull it out, and it just says on the front some name in Japanese. But then in marker, under that, the owner has written, very good sword fighting.
All right, this place still rents VHSs, and they've got, like, every movie ever, period. And, like, literally, this is how you know the Video Barn is the best video rental place. I walk in, and I say, you know, my friend Scott Johnson had seen on the internet, you know, some movie called Attack the Gas Station, right? Which we've talked about before on the show, and on movies you should see. And... so we go to the Video Barn, and we're like, do you have Attack the Gas Station? The guy just reaches behind him and puts the DVD on the counter.
And then he says, "You're really gonna like this."
Yeah, the Video Barn Blockbuster, can suck Video Barn's dick.
I mean, the fact that I could walk in there and be like, and the guy knew us because we came like every week, and I'd be like, "I don't know what I should watch," and he'd say, "You want funny or violent?" And I'd say, "Violent." He'd say, "Watch this."
Yeah.
Oh, those were good days. But
Good days.
our problem wasn't getting access to these movies because we could see pretty much any weird movie we wanted. The problem was knowing which ones to get, because even if we got recommendations, he'd recommend pretty much everything in the store, which was usually accurate. So we saw this teaser, and it appeared, from what we had seen, to be the greatest movie ever made, qualifying that by saying, if you were us in college.
Yeah, if you're us in college and you look at this trailer for this movie, immediately all I could think was, wow, that's going to be the best movie ever.
It was the music and what was going on in this teaser, not trailer, because I'll talk about that later, but this teaser, which I can't find anymore. It had airships and technology and robots, and it looked really serious and dark.
Explosions and awesomeness. And
a lot of scenes of like politicians yelling at each other, and I was so there. And we looked forward to this movie and we just kept watching the internet waiting for this movie to come out. And we all kept watching the trailer and over again, like, check this out. This is going to be the best thing ever. And then, at some point, Casshern came out. We saw it. Now, independent of the fact that it was hyped up to us, mostly by us. Say I'd seen it in a vacuum. It was perhaps the worst movie I've ever seen. It's definitely
one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I would say, even if it's not the absolute worst movie I've ever seen, it is the most time I've wasted watching a movie. And it was the most pain I felt while watching the movie.
It was almost as bad as Clifford with Martin Short. It was awful. Now,
it's terrible.
Very bad.
Very, very bad.
But worse than that was that, say my expectation was 0, and that movie was, negative 100 out of
it's
negative
not,
100.
And the thing about it is, it's not bad like a Fist of the North Star where you can laugh at it. It's just bad.
It's bad like, for all the explosions I saw in that trailer, where the fuck were they in that movie?
All at the end, but all...
What? Why didn't the trailer show me the stupid costumes everyone was wearing? Why didn't the trailer show me that no one... See, the trailer wasn't even in English. We didn't have subtitles, so we just said, oh man... If the trailer had shown me in any way what those people were actually saying, I probably would have known better.
Definitely would have known better.
But the worst thing is, my expectation wasn't 0, and I got negative 100. My expectation was 90. So I had an expectation deficit of 190 on this movie. Fuck this movie.
I think the other problem with the movie is that they called it Casshern, right? Which is Casshern. If we were more intelligent, as we are now, right, and more aware of things, we would have realized at the time, which we did not, that it was related to Casshern, the robot hunter, I believe.
Which I've also seen written Casshern, but I didn't know that because I'd seen Casshern.
I didn't make the connection between Casshern and Casshern until after seeing the terrible movie.
I made the connection when I saw that stupid helmet, and I was like, oh. It's that, because I saw Casshern Robot Hunter on the Sci-Fi Channel a long time ago, and I liked it because I was in 4th grade. I don't like it anymore.
Actually,
well, no, you know
Casshern Robot Hunter, the anime, I can like in an ironic way.
Well, I think that there's also like the TV show, but let me put it this way. The anime and the TV show, I liked it when I was in 4th grade. I didn't like it when I was in high school and learned better. I like it again, but only because of respect for old school kind of style and aesthetic, and as a result, my thing of the day, which I'll get to, but yeah. So, I would rather watch Casshern Robot Hunter in English 1,000 times than even watch the trailer to this goddamn movie again.
Yeah, we tried to find the teaser that, made us think the movie was awesome so that you could see... why we thought the movie was awesome, even though it sucks. But all we could find was the trailer, which reveals the movie to be the suckage that it is.
I don't think it reveals it you couldn't grok the fullness of how bad this movie is from seeing the mere trailer. But if you find the teaser, it was like 30 seconds long. Good luck. I found freaking anime music video, if you can call it that, mashups between this and Sky Captain and like Gears of War, Machinima. Oh, God. But that's not my news. My news is not just this PSA that don't watch this movie. So, we're guests at the New York Anime Festival. We're doing a whole bunch of events. I'm not going to talk about it a lot because we're probably going to do a whole show on it next week. But suffice to say, December 7th, 8th, 9th, Javits Center, New York City. It's going to be, big anime con. And turns out that they're having the American theatrical premiere of Casshern at the New York Anime Festival. Now,
not only that, but it's going to be unedited.
Which means that if you are stupid enough to sit down and watch this, you're going to be stuck in that room in an extra 20 minutes. And I doubt highly that those 20 minutes are one uninterrupted explosion.
I watched this thing on Fireside Friday when everyone else watched it at Anime Club. And it was so long. It was just, I wanted it to be over so many times. So making it even longer, that unedited one might be the worst movie there is.
Now, like I said, the 20 minutes might be one uninterrupted explosion, which would be kind of cool. But I'll bet it's a lot more just insipid, uninspired dialogue while people just talk about nothing and then fight with each other stupidly. But yeah, go to the New York Anime Festival. Do not, for the love of God, see this movie.
Do not. I want that premiere to be empty because people, to show the people who are bringing that movie to this country that it's a bad idea, that we know it sucks, you're not fooling anybody.
So, right along to things of the day. My things of the day are, in fact, two things. They are the opener and closer to the 1973 Casshern anime. And all I want to say is that I don't know why. Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's just because I don't hear this sort of thing as much as I'd like to. But this kind of music and this kind of styling, even if I don't like the shows, I just really dig these kinds of openers.
I totally love all those old, like, robot anime type show, like, theme songs with, like, the Japanese guys singing over like this really, really retro music.
Yeah.
I love those songs. I could have my iPod just full of that sort of music, like the Messenger song.
Don't forget Gao Ga Gar.
Gao Ga Gar.
That was not quite it.
It's not the same kind of song.
I think
like
it's
the
in the
Macross song.
I think that the Gao Ga Gar song is in the same spectrum, but it's on the far end of it.
Nah, I don't think.
Like it's at the border between that and something else.
Kinda. But yeah, I would really like those kind of songs, and this has them, so awesome.
Yeah, and I'd recommend that you watch these and the anime and the animated movie before you watch. Well, not before. Don't ever watch the movie we talked about.
No, do not watch the relatively new live action Casshern. It is bad, super bad.
All right,
in a bad way.
Nah.
My thing of the day is kind of lame. So they make Hello Kitty everything.
Are you talking about the Hello Kitty treads on the bike?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lame.
It's pretty lame, yeah, I know.
It's a bike tire, and the treads are in the shape of Hello Kitty, which is
that can't
not
be the best traction
shape.
No, that's not good for the traction, I imagine.
I guess it could be okay if you're not... I mean, because, they use basically non-treaded, kind of like racing slicks in certain kinds of street racing, but...
yeah, I guess if you're just riding your bike around the street slowly and casually, this won't be too bad, but... if you're riding serious, any speed, this is not going to be good. You're going to be slipping and sliding and badness.
So, what are we talking about tonight?
Let's talk about one of the biggest anime in recent years that we realized we never talked about, and is also very easy to kill a show talking about.
Funny you put it in those terms.
the Fullmetal Alchemists.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Now... it's rated on the Anime News Network Encyclopedia, just because I happen to have it open, as effectively the greatest fucking show to ever have been made, according to everyone.
It's an okay show.
Well, here's the thing. I'll set the stage. Fullmetal Alchemist came out in an era, which wasn't that long ago, where, well, maybe it wasn't the era, it was just more that it was the big show of its time. I mean...
well, basically what was going on, right, is that, we were in, the third or fourth year of college, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And, we were super anime fans, and we had been watching tons and tons of anime starting freshman year. We were like super anime watching, right?
And mostly we were watching old stuff we'd never seen and kind of getting caught up in the anime world.
We were watching like the best shows ever, and we were watching, new best shows, and the well was sort of drying up, I mean,
it got to the point where I considered watching beyond the first season of Fushigi Yugi. That's how much anime I was watching. I was running out.
Yeah, and we were watching all kinds of shows around then, and it was a new anime season, and everyone was grabbing mad fan subs with our mad bandwidths, right? And there were a lot of shows that came out that season. We were trying different ones out, and some of them were good and some of them were okay, but it was sort of like the first season where people were going through the fan subs looking for the new hot show, and it's sort of everyone was going to the same site, downloading the same fan subs, and sort of this consensus came out that Fullmetal Alchemist was the hot show, and like I had known about it, and I downloaded an episode, but I hadn't watched it, and then people started talking about it, so I watched it. And everyone was sort of like, oh, yeah, this show's the business.
Now, as time went on, and then when it got released, legitimately in the U.S., and it became the super big show. And it seems like this happens there's a cycle of years whereby the show will come out that does this to anime fandom, where everyone who's new-ish to anime, I'm not saying that older fans didn't like it too, but for people who are kind of just getting into it, there's like a certain kind of person who was primed for this. They'll see Fullmetal Alchemist, or back when it was on, Fushigi Yugi did this. A lot of shows have done this over the years. And they would just kind of decide collectively that it's the best show ever. That this show is so amazing and so beyond anything they've ever seen and ever will see. And this is going to go down in history as one of the best anime ever. And I guess you could call it Fullmetal Alchemist frenzy.
Yeah.
People were just, every con had a billion FMA cosplayers, and they still do.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when we were at the point where we had only seen like 4 or 5 episodes of the show, it was like, wow, look, here is, like a show that's giving us, the kind of plots we get in our Final Fantasy type games, that sort of plot, which, everyone who's like anime fans, that's their favorite kind of plot. And so everyone was digging that. And it had a lot of awesome characters, and people were digging that. And it was coming out right now. So every time a new episode came out, like everyone would get together and watch it and be like, oh man, it's a new episode. Oh man, it's a new episode. And the show was doing things that, were, I guess, okay-ish. And you had really good opening and closing music all the time.
Yep. I mean, I think the thing is, it seems like this show was almost engineered to be that big show.
It definitely was engineered.
It had something to appeal to everyone. Everyone who was a fan of anime, with rare exception, there was something they would like enough to watch this entire show.
Yeah, it's like if you like some fighting action, there's some fighting action. If you like some, character dramas, there's character dramas.
If you like
this
muscly bald men, oh yeah.
Yeah, you like wacky comedies, they got wacky comedies. Pervertedness, they got some girls in there. The show...
Girls, we got girls.
The show was a little bit of everything. Awesome J-rock, J-pop opening and closing music. The music, actually, the show music is actually really good. Even today, looking back on it.
Yeah, it was kind of modal, and there were a lot of like little almost leitmotifs, and we'll talk about that later.
And the show is coming out now. Well, not now, but then it was now. So and everyone was all over it, and there wasn't much competition from the other shows at the time.
What was even out at the same time?
I don't really remember because FMA sort of overshadowed all of them.
Yeah, but the show, in addition to all that, it had kind of the plot or the hook or what was going on was kind of different and kind of interesting. And I think, if nothing else, that is what drew a lot of people to it. The story effectively is that there are 2 brothers, the Elric brothers, Ed and Al Elric. And one thing led to another, and their mom is dead, and they know alchemy. And the principles of alchemy are kind of like the driving force of this universe. And they kind of drill it into you constantly that nothing can be created without destroying something equal. Equivalent exchange, toka koka.
Yep.
And I don't really... how much should we spoil? I mean, I feel like most people have seen this show. I feel like this is more commentary than telling people to watch it.
I don't know. You probably don't want to give away too much action.
Well, let me put it this way. The first 2 episodes set up the whole scene for you without any doubt. The first
2 episodes are actually sort of like this contained like story on its own, like just within the world of the characters that really introduces to you the core characters and then sort of shows you the way the world works and then closes up that tiny story. And then the characters move on to another place where the actual plot is happening, you know? So it's sort of like they tell you sort of like this mini story with the characters, sort of like in Trigun, like the first, 4 or 5 episodes. Actually, a lot of the episodes of Trigun are just like mini stories that are sort of self-contained involving the characters to set everything up. And then they move on to where the big plot is elsewhere.
Now, what helped was that all the things they introduced in this little 2-episode mini story were great. And also, because they didn't really have to flesh a lot out in terms of, beyond what we see at face value, and because they didn't bother with backstory yet, they pretty much threw you in media res. I used a fancy word.
Uh-oh.
It just hit the ground running, and you were pretty much captivated right away. If you were going to like the show at all, you liked it in the first 5 minutes of the first episode. And definitely by the end of the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
And also, they were able to make things appear extremely symbolic, and there was a lot of, I guess the theme or the moral or kind of what was going on in that first 2-episode thing. I don't want to say it was deeper than the actual show, because I don't think it was. I think it's more that it set the show up to be very heavy.
It did. The show definitely, appeared, even though I think the show in reality is a lot shallower than it appears. It's sort of like, I think Gerald was complaining that like the director has actually a trend in all the things they direct of making things appear to be a lot deeper than they actually are. It's sort of like, they go around saying Toka Coca, like there's this big, deep, hidden message of, symbolism and metaphor.
Well, at the same time, I'm not going to spoil, but I do point out what happens with all that near the end.
But while there is a metaphor or some message, it's not a super deep message. It's just slightly below the surface.
You know what? I'll put it straight up. In the first 2 episodes, one or two of the themes that come up, and they hit you pretty strong with this, are a lot of kind of controversial and possibly uncomfortable ideas about the nature of religion and belief and fanaticism. And
yeah, but it's not like it's some huge allegory.
No. What I'm saying is that
the
show was not really about that. But the first 2 episodes, in a vacuum, very much made it appear that the show was about that.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
There was very much this science versus religion. What is belief? What are we? What are we made of? And the show didn't really keep running with those ideas as much as it probably could have.
Yeah, after that stuff, the show, basically the format of the show is everyone, they set up, they bring in a bunch of characters that everyone loves, and then they just sort of play up the characters in, ways that make you continue to love them. Because there's a character for everyone, no matter what you like. And they just keep playing up all the characters and, to make them be at their best all the time. And they just keep moving forward with the plot at a steady pace to keep you going. And it worked. Everyone was watching it every week and continued to look forward to watching it every week until it ended.
Though I thought what they did that was I think it worked really well was because since they started kind of in the middle of this story and then they flash back. So you're introduced to a boy who's kind of yelling, but yet he's powerful for some reason. And all these other minor characters and a giant empty suit of armor. And it seems like almost superficially, all right, this is going to be one of those kind of nonsensical, silly shows, despite all the themes and morals and things that we've been kind of peppered with right away. And then, you're kind of set up to, where the show is going to get to. And then it backs up, and you see how they got to where they are.
Yep,
and then it dawns on you that, because when it backs up, it's just 2 young brothers, 2 little boys with a sick mother and a missing dad.
Yeah, it's the typical, slowly reveal the past instead of, like, Trigun revealed the past all at once. But this is the typical, many shows do this, where you slowly reveal more and more about the hidden past until the whole past is finally revealed. And they did it, they didn't do it amazingly. They did it, as well as could be expected.
Well, I think what they did...
It was a formula, and they executed it, as it should be.
But enough about, I mean, I don't want to really go into, like, I don't want to discuss the show as though we're trying to sell it to people who haven't seen it. And I don't want to, I don't know, review it fully, because that would require, spoilers and final thoughts. But I think what really drew me into the show, the point at which I decided that this show is going to be great and I'm going to like it, was after the first 2 episodes, and they go through the backstory. And I'll spoil in case you haven't heard, but the deal with their mother. Because essentially what happens is their mother dies. I don't think that's that much of a spoiler, but she dies. She had cancer or something. She'd been sick for a long time. And these boys know alchemy because their father was an alchemist who went off to war or something. They're not too clear about that.
They don't really say. He's like, they show you the family photo and the dad is like blurred out. You can't see his face.
But and this is actually, and I know this is the moment because our friend Luke had avoided this show on Fansub.
Well, because he had the opinion that it's popular, it can't possibly be good.
Emily avoided it for similar reasons, and a lot of people did, because the hysteria around this show by a lot of fans really turned off a lot of, I don't want to say more discerning people, but maybe it seemed really possible that the show was one of those crap shows that people suddenly get really, really into for no good reason.
Yeah, I can't blame the people who felt that way, because like I felt the same way initially about Naruto. I sort of didn't go and see Naruto on purpose, and then I saw the first 4 episodes like at Anime Club. I didn't go out of my way to see them. I just happened to see them.
I think there's a difference between if I see a show just in a vacuum, or if I'm at a con and like 8 kids wearing identical poorly made costumes run past me yelling the characters' names from a new show.
Yeah.
I probably irrationally feel like maybe I should avoid that show.
Yeah,
so I can't blame anyone.
No.
But our friend Luke is a huge anime fan, had avoided it and avoided it and avoided it. So finally, we're at Otakon. We're seeing Laruku live in that awesome concert.
Yep. And they're the band that did this, the second opener for the show, the Fullmetal Alchemist show.
Yeah, that was also, like, I think, possibly one of the best Otakons, just for that concert.
So
God.
At this concert, before the concert started, while you're sitting there waiting for them to come on, right, on the giant video screens, they show the first episode of Fullmetal Alchemist dubbed. This is the first time Luke had ever seen the show that he was avoiding.
And I believe they also showed a trailer, like, for the show. It was like they were showing the first episode and the short little trailer kind of thing, like, this is what this show is about. And I remember they revealed to some degree the fact that the boys tried to bring their mother back to life with alchemy. But what do you trade in? Toka Koka, equivalent exchange. Well, we've got all the components of a human body. We've got the sulfur and we've got the whatnot. What do you trade for a human soul? Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
I think that is one thing that definitely attracted a lot of people to the show, is that, I think one of the main reasons that a lot of people in the U.S., became such fans of anime in the first place, way back, was because, they like animation and cartoons, because that's, what they grew up on. And they were looking for animation and cartoons that had more serious stuff going on in them, instead of, Looney Tunes dropping anvil on his head.
I are a serious fan, and this is our serious business.
So when you have a show that's, dealing with issues like, bringing your mother back from the dead and then having to sacrifice your soul and getting horrible punishment for that and stuff like that, that's sort of the kind of thing that really attracted people to anime in the first place. And thus, if you have a show like that, will attract more people.
It also helped that the show, that was a very dark element. And I remember seeing that, like, when the whole thing with their mother was revealed initially, that was a chilling, scary, dark, disturbing, and sad scene in an otherwise serious but kind of upbeat and silly anime. And it seems like shows that have elements of humor and elements of seriousness like that, as long as they don't go overboard like Gravitation, which was like super happy, super sad, super happy, super sad, it seems to work really well, especially in terms of getting people to watch the show.
Well, what you do is it happens, I think, more in Fullmetal Alchemist than any other show I've seen, is sort of those, those times when, they bring the stark contrast right up in your face. Like, you see these characters laughing and making stupid jokes about being short that aren't funny. And then they remind you, like, this is actually horrible. And you see the characters going like, eh.
And then it cuts back to them being happy. And you just can't help but think, but they went through all of that.
It's like they'll show you characters laughing. The voice actors will be laughing, kinda, and then they're playing like the dark theme music, and like half the screen is the character laughing, the other half of the screen is like some visual symbol that reminds you of a horribleness that is awaiting in the plot.
The music did that really well in this show. The soundtrack we mentioned before, the musical motifs, like there were certain themes and phrases of music that were kind of synonymous with certain characters or certain events or certain memories in the show, and you'd start to associate these with certain kinds of happenings. So a lot of scenes that would otherwise be just a normal scene or just a scene in the anime, they'd play music that didn't fit, and you'd think back to other scenes where that music played, and I think that was one of the show's strongest points, is its use of music to create a mood.
Yeah, the music in the show is definitely...
Remember later in the show, there's that scratchy song playing on the record that... yeah.
Yep.
And that was one creepy scene, I gotta say.
I mean, the music in the show, it's not the best music ever for an anime, but it's definitely among the best musics for animes. I mean,
let me put it this way.
Top 15.
It's one of the
and
best...
And the way they use the music is as bad as well as it can be used.
It's not the best music like ever, but it's one of the best uses of music in anime I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the other animes, a lot of animes now, they're not using music, because the use of music in anime in general is one of the things that really sets anime apart. You have these original, composed orchestral scores made just for the show.
Look at Escaflowne. How many just basically symphonies were written just to be background music in that show?
Yeah, and... they have a different, song for every possible theme and mood in the show, and for every character, and for every type of thing that goes on, and they reuse them, or they reuse them by changing them slightly to sort of, really set the mood and the tone and whatever's going on. And Fullmetal Alchemist does that as well as an anime can, basically.
The show really seemed to kind of change gears in pretty much every possible sense at the perfect intervals to keep anyone interested. Like, no matter what kind of scene was going on, sad, happy, fighting, whatever, they'd always kind of switch it up or cut away or flash to something different. It's like they were juggling all the different kinds of anime fans and making sure that every kind of fan had their 5 minutes in every episode.
Yep. All right, so do you think, if someone hasn't seen Fullmetal Alchemist, do you think it's worth it to, buy all the DVDs and watch it?
I think it's worth it to watch the DVDs. On Netflix, perhaps.
Maybe.
This is what I find interesting, because this happens to people a lot, especially, well, maybe not especially, but just because I see it more here, because I pay attention more, but it happens to anime fans, where when a show is good and you're watching it as it comes out, it seems like it's just this amazing show.
Yep.
But then when you're done with it, and you're so satisfied, it was so great, and then years later you think back, and you feel like you could never watch the show again, or you wouldn't enjoy it, or maybe it wasn't as good as you thought it was, even though you remember enjoying it immensely.
I definitely have that feeling where, I think part of it is I didn't enjoy the ending as much as some other people did. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't like, oh my god, an awesome ending.
Well, the end made me cry. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a great ending, because I've cried at the end of, I think, a good third of all the anime I've ever seen.
Yeah, it didn't make me cry. It was just it wasn't I was expecting and anticipating an ending that would bowl me over, and it was just kind of an ending an ending.
See, the thing is, regardless of the physical, what happened at the end of the show, because that, I think, could have been handled a lot better. And it pretty much, this is my main beef with the show, and I'll do a quick aside about this, because it relates to the movie. The show ends on, they tried to have their cake and eat it too, but the cake was a lie. They tried to milk every possible way the show could have ended by kind of doing all of them. And you get this kind of ending, but then and you also get this kind of ending. And instead of wrapping up all the loose strings, they kind of unfrayed the end of the rope and made a million more strings and then ended on a super cliffhanger.
Yeah, I definitely, during the course of the show, there were, certain characters and certain plot lines that were ended climactically. About 2/3 of the way through the show, there was a holiday, so they had to miss an episode because there was a soccer game or something like that. So the next week, there was a double episode, and with that double episode, which is basically 2 episodes that I think aired together, they, ended a part of the plot line and made a big reveal and a climax. And that was like super awesome, at least at the time. And I felt like the show, the end of the whole show should have ended, been as awesome as that.
Well, the thing is,
but it wasn't.
It could have been, because the end of the show basically set up the best fucking movie ever. Much like Casshern set us up for the best fucking movie ever. It was like, all right.
Still haven't seen the Fullmetal Alchemist movie.
Because I know better. But if the movie had been what it should have been, then the end of Fullmetal Alchemist would have been great, because it set up a great movie. But from what I have heard from everyone I trust, the Fullmetal Alchemist movie is barely, if at all, worth watching.
I'll probably watch it someday.
Yeah, but it's I don't want to spoil it all what it's about, because that actually ruins a kind of big reveal in the show.
I think generally my feelings on Fullmetal Alchemist is that when I was watching it, when it was new, it felt pretty awesome. I mean, it didn't feel as awesome as, like, the best shows ever, but it was like one step under the best shows ever.
It was no Cowboy Bebop, Escaflowne, Evangelion, Trigun.
No, it was like right under all those shows, which was, better than any anime I'd seen in a long time. And now, looking back, it feels like it's 2 steps behind those shows, and like, at the time, it felt better than it does looking back on it.
You know what? I'll sum it up. The show was a great show to watch, but it's not a show to rewatch, and it wasn't a show that had staying power. It's like Cowboy Bebop, I could finish it.
I could watch any episode at any time, any number of times for the rest of my life. That's probably the only show that can do that.
Well, let's see. What is there that's like that for us? There's the first 3 Star Wars movies, as in the 4th, 5th, and 6th Star Wars movie.
Yep. And
like Cowboy Bebop. I think Escaflowne for me. That show was so great.
I've only seen it once.
I've seen it 3 times all the way through, and every time I love it. So
there are lots of Leiji Matsumoto things that I can watch, but it's like I have always. It's not like I can watch them over and over again. It's that when I get in the mood to watch one, I can watch one, and I'm in the mood to watch them relatively often.
Yeah, it's just the show wasn't good enough to watch again. Like, I think most of what drew people forward and most of what kept me going was that I wanted to know the mysteries of this world. I wanted to know what was behind that gate and why the things happened the way they did, and what just all the stuff, where their dad went and who he was, and all those mysteries. And it's kind of like, as the mysteries got revealed, I cared less about the show. And unlike, say, an Escaflowne, which is just so well executed that I could watch it again, or unlike, say, an Utena, where I can watch it again and get more of it, because now getting understanding from learning the reason behind a mystery or something that happened later in the show could kind of illuminate things that happened earlier. I feel like that's not true in Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist, after one viewing, everything is illuminated. There's no more to illuminate.
Everything is illuminated, by the way, is a fantastic movie.
Right. It is. Yeah. Also, I'm buying the Fullmetal Alchemist manga. Like, I have every volume of it. It's in English so far.
Yeah, we should probably mention this.
Yeah, and I'm not stopping buying it. But first of all, it is by no means some amazing manga of all time. It's no Akira, Tezuka, whatever. It's a slightly above average manga that is funny and entertaining, and for me at least, it's worth buying at a discount price, which is what I pay. I wouldn't buy it if it was full price. And for the first part of the manga, it's a lot like the show. I mean, the first volume is basically a lot like the first few episodes, and whatever. But then a few volumes in, I think like 6 to 10, I don't remember exactly where, basically the manga becomes completely different from the show. Like, super different. There are just blatant differences. Like, wow, that is not like it at all. And there's characters in the manga that never appear in the show. There's things that, like, they're just basic facts, like who people are is different in like, there's characters that are in both, but it'll be the same, like, character design, and the characters have a different name in one and the other, or a different role in one and the other, or act a different way in one and the other. And so the anime and the manga are not equal, which is, in a way, it's actually okay, because if you've seen the show already, it's not like Death Note, where if you've seen the anime, there's no reason to buy the manga, and vice versa, because they're exactly the same. You can read the Fullmetal Alchemist manga, having watched the anime, and you'll get something different out of it. It's a different thing, and it's a lot longer, and it goes more, but it's more typical anime plotty stuff and less of the deep kind of stuff, though, or at least the pretending to be deep stuff.
I mean, I guess in the end, FMA was kind of just a blockbuster anime. Much like a blockbuster movie, it's great to watch, you'll enjoy the ride, you'll probably not bother watching it again.
Yeah, it's just like one of those like summer fun fests. You go to the movie theater, you spend some money, you sit down, you go, woo, there's explosions, whatever. And, you know, it's pretty awesome while you're in there. You know, it's rocking your socks off. And then, you know, a year later, if someone mentions the movie, you'd be like, yeah, I saw that in the theater. Yeah, there's no really reason to ever see that again. It's not worth my time.
The thing is, I just don't think the show will have the staying power, even, you know, in the years to come that, you know, Cowboy Bebop Italia had. I think that it's kind of going to go the way of Fushigi Yugi. I just use that because it's the perfect example of a similar show in terms of how the fans reacted to it, and I think it'll always be known. Like, a lot of people just know Fushigi Yugi, even if they haven't seen it, and you always see at least one Miyaka.
Isn't it Fushigi, not Fushugi?
It's Fushigi.
Okay.
No, or as Scott Johnson always said, Fushigi Yugi,
Fushigi?
Fushigi.
Fushigi? Okay.
But you always see a Miyaka or two at pretty much every anime con. You're probably always going to see an Edward Elric or maybe a Lust at every anime con for the next decade or so. But the show's not going to be remembered as this great work 10 years from now. While I think 10 years from now, Cowboy Bebop will still be considered one of the greatest works of anime.
Probably.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Odeo on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.